All right, so we have recording number 1 going. We have, oh, we're starting to fill up now. Oh man, I think some people are going to get left out. All right, yeah, the room's starting to fill up. I'm glad some of you guys asked me, hey, what time are you going to open up the room so you could get in here? Because I thought a lot of people might be interested in the BloodHound Toolkit. So. Hey, so before we actually get into it, let me ask you guys a few questions as everybody's just slowly kind of getting in here. So where's everybody from? Okay, so if you're an OraPub member, go ahead and you can use the Slack app if you want to. If you're not, go ahead and and even if you are, go ahead and just chat in here and let's see where everybody's from. I think we have people all over the world. So give us your country and your state here. We got Buffalo, New York. Where else do we have here? Bavaria, fantastic. Stefan, Dill. Oh, well, I missed one. Shoot, going so fast. Let's see, we got Brazil. Hey, who's from Brazil? Brazil. Oh, fantastic. We got Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Ottawa, Canton, Ohio. We got some Newtown, Pennsylvania. Got a group of you there. Virginia, U.S. Question. Somebody said, hey, don't send me a private message during the webinar, okay? Unless it's going to be embarrassing to me that everybody read it, okay? So the question was, is this virtual class, right? Is that going to be available? No, it's closed right now. There's just about 10 people in that, and that's just what I need, just what I want for the first class. That will be available. I don't know pricing. It's not going to be free, but it's not going to be expensive. Really, my goal is when you start it, so people actually complete it. Okay, we got Denmark, we got Germany, Italy. Oh, I haven't heard from you guys from Rome, and then Frankie from Brazil. So we got a lot of continents here. Do we have anybody in the Middle East? We got a couple folks from Saudi Arabia that are members, but they're probably they're awake. They could actually they could do this. All right, here we go from India. There we go. Oh, Vaclav, I bet you that's you from the Czech Republic, Ohio. Fantastic, Jacksonville. Oh, Harry, I didn't know you were from Jacksonville. Man, that's fantastic. Okay, so hey, I'm going to shut the video off so we can get started because it's kind of weird to see myself talking in my hands, and even when I shut the video off, my hands are still moving. It's just kind of weird. So I'm going to do that, and then we're going to get right into it. Hey, while I'm doing that, how many of you have never been to one of my webinars before? Go ahead and type that in, like first timer kind of a thing. I'm going to shut off my webcam here. Here we go. First time, Mario. Oh, Mario. Oh, fantastic, man. Michael. Yeah, wow. Oh, hey, I'm really glad you guys are here. I mean, that's so cool. I'm glad you got a chance to join me here, that the timing worked out for you and everything. So, all right, so we got some first timers. I know we have some more pub members online. I could see your chatting here in the window a little bit as well. All right, so the reason I wanted to do this webinar is because one of OraPub members, Andrea, he was very active on the chat here on the Slack group as well, helps out a lot of people. He's always been really interested in the BloodHound Toolkit, and so I was running out of time here, and he had all these ideas. So I said, "Hey, Andrea, why don't you just start working on this? We'll do this together." And he really cleaned it up quite a bit. And so that allowed us to make a new release. And so we posted that new release. You can download that now. And I thought, you know what, now's a good time to do an actual just how to install and basically use the toolkit for everybody. I'm going to quit my email program here, guys, because that's going to start messaging me. Okay, so that's what kind of motivated this. So again, welcome. I'm excited you guys are here. The room is almost full, actually, but there is still a little bit of room for people, so that's good. So we're talking about how to install and then how to use the BloodHound Toolkit. So we're going to start at the very beginning right here. The BloodHound Toolkit was created to report off of ASH data, active session history data from Oracle. Okay, and most people, right, they either have like a script of Ash scripts, right, a text file of Ash scripts that they either modify, copy, and paste into SQL Plus, or they use some kind of a toolkit. Okay, I use both, honestly. And the BloodHound toolkit has some very distinct advantages that make it way better than scripts in certain situations, or I should say way better than a copy and paste approach. And that's why I actually created this. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. And hey, by the way, if you have any questions, go ahead and just type those in the chat window. In fact, I'm going to move the chat window over here because I tend to look in that area. Okay. In fact, hold on just a second, guys. You might have heard some clicking sound. I actually turned off that light that was shining in my face so I can see what's going on. So, okay, here's the situation. Okay, I'm gonna demonstrate. I'm actually gonna do this, and so you guys can do this. You can download it, you can install, and then use the BloodHound toolkit. Okay, the only thing we're not going to get into is the visualization parts of the BloodHound toolkit. I'll do another webinar on that. I know I'm going to run out of time if we do that. Okay, so when do you want to use Ash? Okay, Ash just rocks when you need session level performance analysis data. That this information is not available in an AWR report, right? AWR report snaps once every hour, and it does not keep session level data. People say, well, why? Because it would be a huge amount of data, and it would have to collect it, it would have to manage it, and then we'd have to report off that. Another approach is to periodically take like a picture of all the active Oracle sessions, and that's what Ash is doing for us. And that allows us to get down to the session level, and we have a lot of detail. Okay, so it's great to have the Ash data, but if you got the BloodHound toolkit, you can use some, I'll say more advanced reporting, and which are actually very simple scripts if you take a look at them. We can do things like this multi-level summarization, which means each line of the report is a summary of Ash data over some period of time that you actually get to set. It could be 60 seconds, it could be a minute, it could, that's the same thing. It could be 5 minutes, it could be an hour, whatever you want it to be. And we also have some visualization scripts as well. And one of the things I built in, particularly for me working with my clients, is that you can easily pull Ash data from a remote system into your local database, which is really powerful if you do not want to be touching the production database when you're doing your Ash analysis. I use this a lot with my customers, so I pull the data I need to analyze, and then I can analyze it on my local database. It's fantastic. You can also report, and most people don't even know this, you can report off of an Ash-like formatted data. So, for example here, that's not a question, but like, normally most think of people of Ash, they think it is, $V active, session, history, right? And then, right, that gets collected, right, once every second by an Oracle background process. And then periodically that information gets copied, doesn't get flushed, okay? It gets copied into the AWR table, which is going to be DBA hist active ses history. It's too long if it's the entire word session, okay? It gets actually put in there, okay? But the other, so Ash can report off of both of these. But what if I wanted to get data from another system, or I just wanted to kind of look at an extract, or I wanted to like, just to save a part of my Ash data. So for example, I could do like a create table, call it Craig, as, I don't know if the as is there, but like select star from, V Ash or something like that, and so I don't have to type this. I can then with the BloodHound toolkit, I can report off of the Craig table just like it was V active session history or DBA hist. What this actually allows you to do is you can play this kind of game here, and you can kind of keep copies of really interesting Ash situations that you might want to go back to at a later time. And you can help you to create subsets of data so you don't have just these massive, massive AWR repositories and stuff like that. Okay, so that's a little bit about what the BloodHound toolkit can do. So today I'm going to start with downloading the toolkit, and I'm going to end with using the core reporting tools. Okay, I'm not going to do the visualization tools. We will for sure run out of time. I know just from doing what I've been kind of working on here, getting ready for this. Okay, all right. Any questions so far? You guys all right? Everybody good? Somebody type in, I'm good. Something like that. Okay, good. All right, Kaylee, fantastic. Good, good, good. Oh, I see some good. You guys are nice and chatty. Thank you. All right, so those of you that really don't know me, my name is Craig Shallowhammer, and I'm a longtime Oracle DBA, and my whole thing is database performance. And I do predictive analysis. In fact, my next member webinar is going to be about forecasting using regression analysis. I'm super excited about that. I've already prepared for it, and I'm going to use the free R statistics package to do that instead of Microsoft Excel. So it's going to be a 3-parter, I can already tell, so it's going to be cool. I do a lot of performance research, and if you looked at my blog before, you notice it's a little different. That's where I actually put my research. So I'm author of a couple books. Both of these books now have different covers. The Oracle Performance Firefighting book has a different cover, and that's actually, like, as I speak, it's being printed again. The content is exactly the same. It just has a new cover. And you can get both of these in PDF, and that's available like at Amazon. But go to my website. Don't buy it from Amazon. Do a lot of conference speaking, teaching, mentoring. I do a lot of mentoring, career stuff, especially with all the craziness going on in the Oracle world. And I'm also an Oracle ACE director. Okay, so if you guys want to connect with me, if you're an OraPub member, hey, you can just use the Slack app. We just started doing that this year for a couple months. It's very cool. People that are on it really love it. A lot of people still are not even on that as OraPub members. I notice they're probably not used to it, but it's very quick. It's very effective if you have a quick question and you just want some guys that you trust to help you answer that. You can always email me at craig@orapub.com. I am on Twitter, and the OraPub actually has a Facebook page also, which is active. Things are posted there. And you know about the website. And if you're on LinkedIn, go ahead and connect with me. Okay, I will for sure. I'm not going to reject you. I don't do that. As long as you have a picture. I don't connect with anybody that doesn't have an actual picture. Those of you that are OraPub members, so how does this webinar relate to the learning paths and the video seminars? This one is right in line with building your own ASH toolkit, but really BloodHound toolkit actually use that in the incident analysis using ASH data seminar, which is part of the advanced analysis learning path right here. So yeah, that's why I don't teach people about ASH right away. I teach them about how to read an AWR report first. There's a lot of advantages from doing that. All right, so let's talk about some key knowledge. Any questions so far? We're going to start getting right into the content now. We did a little bit of the content. Good, good. All right. So real quick, okay, how does ASH work? Okay, essentially there's a background process that takes a picture, right, of all the active Oracle sessions. What's an active Oracle session? Okay, so question, what's an active? Active, what is, right? What is an active Oracle session? Okay, anybody got some answers to that? What do you think? What makes a session active in Oracle? Yeah, it's not idle. Excellent. Mario said not idle. Exactly. So when it's not idle, what else does that mean, though? There's a couple key words here. If it's active, it's doing one of two things. All right. Yeah, the user's doing something. We can even get more. It can either be consuming CPU. It'll be active. It's doing that, right? Like if it's executing statements, excellent. It will be burning CPU, or it will be waiting. Okay, but it will be waiting on a non-idle wait event. Okay, that's going to make it active. Sometimes background processes are not included in active sessions, even if they're burning CPU or waiting on a, quote, non-idle wait event. Oracle kind of determines that. But that's pretty much the definition. Another way of looking at this, if a session is actually processing real work, if it's trying to do work, like bring a block into buffer cache and it's processing that, it's going to consume CPU and it could be waiting on a non-idle wait event, it will be considered active. And so when that background process takes these pictures of all these active sessions, we see that becomes available in $V active session history. And that information is stored in the shared pool in this kind of ring buffer, and then periodically that information gets copied, right? It doesn't get flushed, right? Because the information is still in the ring until it kind of overwrites itself. All right, so the information is copied into active session history, which then we can report off. Okay, it does get summarized, and we'll get into that. So the reason I have this picture here, how often should I take your picture, is because is because, you know, the question becomes, how often should we sample, right? And let's say I wanted to know what you do at work. Well, I could say, you know, I don't want you to fill out this crazy detailed time card. I'm just going to take your picture. And then based on those snapshots I have of you, these pictures, I can determine and I can infer what you're doing throughout the day. And so then the question becomes, well, how often should we take the picture, right? So Ash, the developers decided to take this pictures of the active sessions every second. Now, if I took a picture of you in your office every second, you'd say that's kind of creepy. But if I took one picture a day, that would be completely not useful to understand what you were doing. So there has to be this happy medium of, we need a bunch of pictures, but not too many because it's just a hassle, consumes CPU and all that kind of stuff. And so once we have all these pictures, that's what we see. That's what is available when we look at $, active session history, or the DBA hist. All right, so that's kind of just a real quick, crazy background. The relationship between AWR and Ash data. I'm going to go through this really fast because we need to get to the install and using the toolkit here. I'm going to start in the middle, okay? Every Ash, when the background process samples active sessions, every time it does a sample, there's a sample ID. So like every second, there's a new sample ID. And so these are the sample IDs. So right here at this particular second, these are all the active sessions that pictures were taken, like the little snapshot pictures, right? And then the next second we have, right, there's going to be another bunch of active sessions potentially. And way down here, I just highlighted this one. At this snap ID, there's a bunch of active sessions. Okay, so you can see on an active Oracle system, there's going to be a lot of pictures of Oracle sessions, and that's all going to be stored in that $, active session history, right? Okay, so, but not all that level of detail is stored in the AWR table, okay? Each AWR snap ID could be related to maybe 1 hour, a half hour, maybe 15 minutes. That depends on how long the snapshots are. Well, if this is 1 hour, then I'm going to have 1 hour's worth of Ash sample IDs and 1 hour worth of all these active sessions related to one AWR snap ID. That's a lot of information. In fact, the architects of Oracle decided that's too much. So what happens is only 1 out of every of the 10 active session samples actually makes it into the AWR table. In other words, when I say the AWR table, 1 out of every 10 $, active session history sample actually makes it into the DBA hist. Okay, and Oracle just doesn't randomly do that either. There's actually some intelligence involved in there. Okay, all right, fantastic. You guys good so far? I'm going to skip this page. All right, ready, everyone? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, fantastic. All right, so let's. All right, so while I'm kind of going to start downloading here, so how do you get help on the BloodHound Toolkit? Let's say you're stuck. What do you get help? How do you do that? How do you get help? I'm going to type that in here. It must be early. How do you get BloodHound help? What do you think? And the answer is not to email Craig. Google. Nah, I'd be very impressed if it was on Google, right? No. From you, yeah, you can get from me. If you're a member, you can Slack. If you're not a member, you can use the chat feature, which is on my website, and I will see that, right? See the bottom chat feature here on my webpage. If that's enabled, you can you can ask me a question in here. You can do that. You can email me, but I'd rather you not do that. But it'd be great. But you can do that. The other thing here is that there is a README file. Okay, there's a README file, and that gives you some information about how to install and all that. And I'm going to show you that. Also, the scripts themselves. Okay, the SQL scripts have a lot of actual examples in the scripts themselves. A little unusual, but I have just, as you'll see this, there's just line after line after line of examples in most of the scripts. So that's how you can actually get some help how to actually use it. All right, so where do we get the BloodHound Toolkit? All right, where do you get it? You go to my website. That's how you get the latest version in case somebody's trying to get it on their website. You go to my resources, tools. All right, and you'll see the big red square. Okay, and that's supposed to be over there. Is it wrapping funny? Huh. Oh, I know why. That's because I made it. Huh. Anyways, you click the details and download, and then you click the download. Okay, so you got to go through this dialog when you do that. It just takes a second. The first time you do this, you will get an email confirming that you are a real person. Okay, that is actually going to happen. I do that on purpose, so like robots and stuff don't actually grab this. Once you've gone through this once, you just have to do what I'm actually doing. Press if you level or a pub, and it goes to my content server, the file bank machine, and you click to download. And information about OraPub members, and if you want to get on my various email lists, and I try not to spam people. You can always change these if you're getting too much email from me, and you can always unsubscribe as well. So you just click to download the file, and boom, it's pretty quick, okay? This is not a big file. Whoops. This is not a big file, okay? And here we go. And it's a little tar file. What it is, you can kind of see that over here. It's got some funky characters at the beginning of it, okay? So I'm going to get this on my server here. So I'm going to change directory to my desktop. Oh, I'm already there. So you can see there's the BloodHound Toolkit right there, okay? And so what I'm going to do now, I'm going to copy that to my server. You know, everybody has different ways of actually doing this. I'm going to use, usually I use a graphical interface, but that's going to be kind of boring here. So I'm going to do an SFTP, and it's Oracle. There's my local server here. I'm going to put this on, get my password. And any questions, go ahead and type these in, guys. I do look at the chat window there. And let's see, and where am I? I am there. I do not want to be there. I'm going to change directory to my Oracle, my local directory, okay? And I should have, this is my local, yeah, right here. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put this, boom, right there. So it's there. Okay, it should be there. I'm going to quit. Okay, and now I'm going to SSH. Okay, and if I go to the local directory, the last file, right there, I did this earlier today at 5:30 in the morning, about an hour. You can see, let me get this bigger for you here. So that's the file right there. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is you just do a standard tar, just XVF this thing, and it will create a BloodHound directory. Boom, you see everything's put in a BloodHound directory. There's a number of scripts, there's not too many. Okay, they're actually going to be less in the next release. So the last directory here, right, there's my BloodHound directory right there. So you go into BloodHound, okay, and you can see all the files right there. And we have one big README file. There we go, right at the end. Okay, so I'm going to do a view on that. Okay, and there's a lot of info in here. Okay, there's probably more than I need. I need to clean this up. I just noticed that this is out of date. You do not need to install my OSM toolkit. Okay, you do not need to do that to install the BloodHound toolkit now. Okay, so that's actually a little out of date right there. So what we did, we unloaded the BloodHound software. Okay, I put that in my local directory right here. Okay, I did the the XVF. We just did that. Okay, and then this is really this is the install. There are no scripts you have to run. Okay, that's important to know. There are no scripts you have to run. There are no objects created with the BloodHound toolkit unless you actually you bring remote data into your local database. Then of course, right, there is a table and some indexes created in your local system. But other than that, there are no interim. There are no there's no I mean, there could be Oracle temporary tables, but there are no application side temporary objects that are created. I specifically did this so there is no trace left of you using the BloodHound toolkit on a production box. It's very, very safe. There's only select statements. And how I save things is I use SQL plus defines. Okay, we use defines exclusively to store information about what you're doing. And then when you log off, of course, those are gone. So this is how I keep a super, super light footprint. Okay. The only kind of tricky thing for people is it's really nice if you add this to your profile. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and actually do that, and I've already done this on this system here. So I'm going to exit out. Okay, and let's see, where am I right now? Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to VI my profile. Okay, and if you look down here, you can see this is where I actually have all the setup. Essentially, I say, hey, where's my base for my BloodHound base? It's the same concept as an Oracle base, or I do the same thing with my OSM Toolkit, right? And so I set the base. So this is really the only thing you're going to have to modify is this right here. These right here go off of the BloodHound base, and so you can literally just copy and paste these directly off of the README file. Okay, and that's all you have to do. Okay, and that makes it really easy to run the script then wherever you want to run it. Okay. All right, so let me go back. Okay, so it is installed right now. Okay, in fact, if I just redid my profile, then all you got to do, I just exit back in, or exit and get back in, and now those environment variables are actually set for me. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to get into SQL+. I think that's the next thing I want to do. Yeah. Okay, any questions so far? Pretty straightforward, huh? Yes, you can install that on a remote node. You got it. In fact, I do this for my customers a lot of times. I'll have on my laptop here, I'll have a local Oracle database, and then I'll actually, I'll SQL+, and I'll use the TNS names and all that, and I'll connect to a remote database. I can actually run the BloodHound Toolkit that way. I can actually pull the data from that remote database into my local database and report on it. Okay, hopefully that answers your question. Does it work on Tingy? Yeah, as long as Ash is there, it'll work. There's nothing, if you look at the scripts, guys, these scripts are so straightforward and simple. Okay, yeah, excellent questions. Okay, this is important to know this. I'm going to try and make this as big as I can so you can see this. I hate webinars when I can't read the stinking screen. In fact, I'm going to disable the chatting here. I don't want people to interrupt us, okay, while we're going. Okay, OraPub members never interrupt me, right? All right, I'll put that here. Okay, so this is the menu. You say, well, what scripts are available? You type BH for BloodHound menu, and there are the scripts. Okay, super straightforward. Let me make this a little smaller. I don't like wrap arounds. Here we go. Okay, there's only a few scripts. So how many core analysis tools are there? I mean, how many reports are we looking at here? Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I usually don't even use this one right here. So there's only 6 core scripts that I actually use. And for the visualization stuff, there's just really one script that I actually used. And then there's some supporting scripts, which I really use. Okay. So a couple things I need to mention. Every time you start to use the BloodHound Toolkit, a spool file is created. Okay. In fact, what's going to happen when I do what I call set the analysis scope using this BH set program, there will be a spool file created. In fact, what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually get in here. And I'm in the same directory right here. Okay, so there may be some spool files right now. There's nothing yet. Oh, wait. Which directory am I in here? I'm in the Oracle. Okay, I'm in the same directory. You'll notice when I start using the toolkit, there will be a text file created. The reason I do that is because usually there could be thousands of lines created when you start looking at ASH data, and then you don't have to remember to copy and paste and save the output. It's always there for you, always there. So that's why I do the spooling. All right, so let's go ahead and set what's called the analysis scope. This is really important. Anytime you use the BloodHound Toolkit, okay, you have to set first the analysis scope. Okay, what is the analysis scope? The analysis scope actually tells us what ASH data we want to look at. Okay, so this is a very important, this scope. Okay, it's very important. It tells us the actual data and, all right, the date and time. So it's like the data source would be a better way to do this. The data source and the date and time. Basically, it's usually like a from to kind of a thing. Okay. So that's what this scope is, and that tells me what data to look at, whether it's local, whether it's remote, whether it's $, or whether it's DBA. Okay, so we're going to run this BH set. Oh, question here: can this be run from Windows? Yes, it can, because these are just SQL scripts. There's no, I don't think there's any shell scripts. I don't usually run it from Windows, but I don't see why you couldn't do that though. In fact, wait, you can. I've done this in SQL Plus for a customer of mine on my VM that's a Windows-based VM. So yeah, that'll work fine. Yeah, you're going to have to set up your environment variables a little different, or just run these scripts from your local directory, and you should be okay then. What scenario? Adil said, when would you recommend using the BloodHound toolkit? When you need session level detail, when you're doing more of an incident, like a random type performance incident occurred, and an ASH report does not give you the details that you need. That's when I start using ASH data, and that's when I would start using the BloodHound toolkit. Okay, that's a very general statement. So we got to get going here. So we got to do the set. So we have the spool file right here. Okay, we should see that. There we go. There's nothing in it right now, but that's it. Okay, so just want you to know that the spool file's there. You might want to actually use the BloodHound toolkit in a separate directory, because you'll get a bunch of these if you keep resetting the scope. Okay, the next thing we do, Andrea said, hey man, we need to know if we have the diagnostic pack here, just for kind of legal reasons. And so this will tell you if you have it installed or not, but you determine whether you want to keep going or not. Okay, all right, so this will take me a second to go through these initial questions, but we're only going to go through these once. Okay, so pay close attention. If you got any questions, ask. Oh, Adil, you are very welcome. So parallel query slaves are very helpful when you have a lot of AWR data. And I'm going to put 5 on here, and you can actually see those things going if you're running through a lot of AWR data. Okay, what's the minimum reporting percentage threshold? Have you ever looked at reports where the bottom of, like an order by, and you have at the bottom of the report is all this just worthless information because the numbers are so tiny? This allows you to cut a threshold off, so you don't get all the minuscule, just distracting lines of output that you're never going to look at. So usually I set this to like 2 or 3%. I'm going to keep it at the, I'm just going to keep it at the default, because I don't know exactly what our data is going to look like. But this allows you to kind of reduce the clutter on your reports. This is where I need to say, where is my data? Is it local on my database that I'm connected to? Remember, I'm in SQL Plus here, right? Or is it remote on another system? If it's remote, you're going to be asked for your username, password, and your TNS names, kind of thing. Okay. To access the remote data, you do not have to. You do not need a DB link. Okay. I'm not going to get into that, but if you can get to the system in SQL Plus, you can pull the data. So it's kind of a security hole in Oracle, I think, but you do not need a DB link to pull the data from a remote database. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to go local, which is the default. So it's on my local database. So this is where I say, well, am I going after the $V active session history? Am I going after DBA hist, or is it a copy, right? Remember, I could go from this table, this Craig copy. Now, if you've been my OraPub members, in some of my webinars, and I'm looking at ASH data, I will actually reference a copy, because I know there's an interesting scenario of data that I've actually kept. Okay, but today we're going to go after DBA hist. It's actually on my box right now, the AWR data in the DBA hist active ses history table. Okay. Okay. The next question. Right now, by the way, regardless of whether you're using like some scripts, like in a text file, or you're using some other toolkit, you've got to define these things. So, and this may seem like this takes a while, but this just takes a couple seconds once you get used to this. Okay, another key question, are we looking at fixed data, or is it relative? Okay, a fixed data means I not only define the source, okay, but the begin and the end of the data I'm looking at is fixed. This is very common when you're using DBA hist data. Okay, but if I'm looking at $V data, I may want to be looking at, let's say, just the last 15 minutes or the last 5 minutes. So I kind of have like a floating window that's relative, and you can define that. If I select relative, it's going to say, well, how far back do you want to look at the data? And then what's the maximum back and what's the minimum back? So you can have this kind of window that just floats in time. It just stays like, give me just 3 minutes worth of data. But usually, if you're looking at DBA hist, you are looking at a very fixed, defined begin and end of data. In fact, usually I change that throughout the analysis. I start to converge. I start with a really, really wide, fixed begin and end, and then once I find something I'm interested in, I start to converge on that, and I rerun the BH set to a smaller fixed from and to. I hope that made sense. If not, ask me. Okay, so I'm looking. This is actually looking now at the DBA hist data to say, hey, what's available to report from? Okay, so we're going to have a DB ID and an instance number. This is rack aware. You're only going to be looking at one Oracle instance worth of data at a time, except with the visualization tools, it actually is rack aware, and it will actually show the entire cluster situation if you want it to. That's a whole nother discussion. Okay. All right, our date and time. I have some very specific date and times that I actually want to look at. Let's see here. I want to keep this. Oh yeah, I'm actually going to make this really, really simple. I think I'm going to start from 6. Yeah, I'm going to go from 6 to 10. I'm going to take the beginning data right here. So I'm going to paste that in. That wraps around, so we don't want that to wrap. Okay, so we're going to go from 6. Okay, and we're going to go from 10. So we got 4 hours worth of data, which is very common, right? Because usually I use this, there's an incident that happened at around a certain time, and then I give usually at least an hour plus or minus when I'm told that there's a problem. The smaller this is, the less data you're looking at, the faster the reporting actually tends to be. Okay, all right. So there's my begin and end. Okay, now it's actually looking at that data. I'll just say it's enabling super fast reporting. There we go. That actually took a little bit longer than I thought. I wonder if I probably restarted the instance last night. That's probably what happened. All right, so this is important to understand, right? Until you reset or disconnect from Oracle, all the BloodHound reports will report on this table, right? On this database ID, this instance, and then here's the begin and the end time. Also shown are the snap IDs. Right, so if you have an AWR report that you're kind of looking at ASH data, then you're going to know how this relates to your AWR report because you have the snap IDs. Okay, we got a scenario here. Okay, I'm going to save that one till the end. Okay, if I forget or you get really far back on the chat window, ask me again. Okay, I don't want to take scenarios until the end. Whoops. Oh, I want to do that. I want to get a bigger chat window here. Here we go. Okay, good. All right. But keep the questions coming up. All right, so now we have everything set, the scope. And if I do a define command, you can see all these BH. Most of these are BH, not always. I'm not real consistent, but you'll recognize it. Okay, that's our data source. That's the source name. It's a fixed date and time. There's the beginning. Well, there's actually the end based on the snap IDs, but that's really what I typed in was 6 to 10 right here, and there's the beginning snap ID. So all this is stored in defines, right? It's not stored in a table. That's why there's the footprint of this is really, really light. Okay, let's look at the menu and let's do some reporting, okay? BH menu, right? So, okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question here, right? Okay. Okay, how do I get or see, how do I see the BH reports? How do I know what reports are available? Not a trick question. How do I get a list of the available reports? Type those in here. Yes, exactly. This is not a trick question. It's BH menu is what I'm just going to type right here. Okay. I wanted to highlight that because people forget how they panic, right? Well, where's the scripts? Okay. Run BH menu and you'll see all the scripts. Okay. So no need to panic. Everything's good. There's only a couple of core scripts. We've actually looked at the first one. Now what we're going to do is we want to summarize. We want to do a profile. And so let me ask you this. So we're going to start, well, if you look at this is BH sum. That is the profile or the summary script. It has essentially two columns, two inputs, two parameters. Okay, this is like a key value. Like if I want to say, I want a profile where the SQL ID is, give me the SQL ID. Give me a summary of all the ASH data within my range, right, within my scope, where the module is some module name. Remember, there's a lot of samples of this in this actual script as well, too, okay, to get you thinking like this. So let me ask you a question. If I wanted to report, how to report on all active sessions, okay, which essentially is going to mean I'm going to profile the instance. Okay, so how would I do that? What are some ways I would do that? If I want to look at all of the active sessions, the entire instance, what parameters would I use for this? I need a key and I need a value to do this. And this is going to tell me, right, looking through all the ASH data that is within my analysis scope, what would be a key and a value? Anybody have any idea? I know you guys do. I know you know. I know you know. I know some of the members know too. Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water here, give you guys to think about this. Instance, okay, now, all right, so is it the instance? Well, we don't need, that's true, but we have already defined that, right? Because that is, I know the instance. It is instance number, where is number 3? There we go. Oh, it's way up here. There's the instance, and there's the database ID. So I already have that defined, so that's correct. There we go. Yeah, it could be the SQL ID and then the value, okay? But I want to look at the entire instance. So one way I could do this, I could say, well, give me a summary. I want a profile where the SQL ID is anything. That works, except not every active session has a SQL ID. For example, a background process might not have a SQL ID, so that'll leave out some of those. That's kind of the stuff you got to think about. It's crazy, right? So you say, okay, so what if you look at DBA active says history. I'm taking more time on this because this helps you to think the way we got to think. If you look at DBA hist. Okay, how would I report? In other words, on these columns, would I always have a value for? Well, actually, I could put snap ID. I could put DB ID. So one way I could do this. Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do the address, session address. One thing I can do is I could put sample ID. Okay, we know we're going to have a sample ID, and if I'm going to look at every single sample, I could just boom do that. I could do the event, but if I'm on CPU, I'm not going to have an event. See, it's really, really, really tricky. And actually, if the event is null, that might not report. I've never actually tried that before, but that's a possibility. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to stick with this because this seems to be really, really good when I do it like this. So this is going to, you notice how fast that is? Man, I love it. This is so fast, you guys, to do this. So let's look at the bottom here real quick. Okay, this tells me information about my analysis. My analysis scope. Okay, so within this analysis scope, which is the DBA hist active ses history, and there's our from and to time right here. Okay, there were how many ASH samples are we looking at? There was 3,477. That's how many we actually have filtered. Okay, all right, and so we were looking at all the data where sample ID is anything. Okay. Now, if you've done time-based analysis, you'll notice that this is very, very similar. If you looked at my webinars and you've actually seen some of my free ones even about how to do like a time-based analysis, this is essentially a summarization of that, right? Looking at all the sessions, there were 48% of those were on CPU, about 52% were waiting. So that better equal 100%. When I'm waiting, 60% of the weight events were related to IO, and the other 40% is just something else. So this is a really simple classification of workload, and it tells me where to focus. Okay? For example, now this is a real system, but I don't even know if there's anything going on here. But what I'm looking for is big chunks, right? Big chunks of not time, because there is no time here. This is samples. So I'm looking at big chunks or piles of samples. So what I want to see here is like 90% here or something like that, or 80-20, right? Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I think this is very slick. Yeah. So this is the summarization. This tells me where to focus. And this is all the weight event detail. This is of all the sample or all the weight samples. So 48% of all the weight samples. So 48% of this 52%, all the weight event is DB file sequential read. Okay. Out of all the samples, which is this 3,477, 25% of those are DB file sequential read. A session is waiting, and that's the actual weight event right there. Okay. The weight classes, these are Oracle's weight classes, and determining on whether it's an IO weight event or not, that's based on Oracle. It's not based on any OraPub classifications. Okay. All right. Now, what's really cool about this, and we'll do this at the end, man, I'm going to run late, guys, is that we could put a SQL ID here, and I can actually profile a SQL statement. I can profile a module or a program. I can whatever I want to do, we can actually do that. Okay? All right. So a question somebody's going to have is, well, what's the top SQL? All right? And so, well, what's the top? Well, the SQL that I care about is going to be related to DB file sequential read, okay? Because that's of my weight. That's IO. That's it. So I'm going to be interested in SQL that is waiting a lot of sequential reads. I'm also going to be interested in SQL that's consuming a lot of CPU, because that's a big chunk of all of our samples as well. So let's do that. Okay. So we have scripts for that. Okay. And if you look at our BloodHound menu, we have give me the top, right? Let's say column, right? When I'm waiting, or give me the top, whatever I'm looking for, column, when we're on CPU. And it's really simple. So I'd run this and I'd say, well, I want to see the top SQL ID when the event is DB file sequential read. Okay? Let's say for CPU, I want to see the top SQL ID when, now I might not even care, I just want to see the top SQL ID. I'll say when the sample ID is anything. Or I might say, I'm really interested in a particular module. So I'm going to say, give me the top module, okay, when, I don't know, when the program is something, or when the SQL ID is something. It's all this key value kind of stuff, okay? So let's do this. DB file sequential reads the top weight event, right? So I'm going to say I want to get the top column when we're waiting. So I want to see the SQL ID, but only when the event is DB file sequential. Now remember, this is just being transferred into a where clause. Okay, so think of it like this. This is not rocket science here. Okay, there we go. Boom. Okay, over our interval here. Okay, there were 840. There was 876 samples where the event was DB file sequential reads here, and where we had a SQL ID. And so here's my top SQL ID right here. That's it. Boom. Okay. So how would I then profile this SQL ID? I'm kind of jumping ahead here because I know we're running out of time. Okay. How would I profile this SQL ID? Or summarize SQL ID, this guy right here. How would I do that? Well, the moment I say summarize, we're going to run bhsum. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, bhsum, and I'm looking for where the SQL, whoops, no, I did that wrong. I jumped the gun here. Where the SQL ID is, boom. There you go. I don't need to trace, don't need to tk-prof. Looking at all the ash samples that were collected, I have 754 of those. For this particular SQL ID, of all the samples, About 7% of the time, the SQL ID was on CPU. The rest of the time, or the rest of the samples, I was waiting, and it's pretty split I/O and other. And the top weight event actually is the GC buffer busy acquire, closely followed by the DB file sequential reads. Okay, so now I know some information, a summary about this actually particular SQL ID. Okay, all right, let's find. I'm going to jump now, and how about I find the top CPU consuming SQL? Okay, well, what's the script for that? Remember, it's very, very similar, right? Instead, I could actually do this in one script, but it'd be cleaner to do that. But anyways, I don't. So it's very, very similar. It's the same concept, the whole key value kind of thing. So if I want to find the top CPU script, okay, I just say, hey, if I want to find the top CPU SQL, I would say BloodHound top, column, CPU. I want to get the top SQL ID. And really, I just want to get the top SQL ID. So I'll just say, hey, where the sample ID is anything. So I'm looking at, basically, this is just I'm just wildcarding here, right? So give me the top CPU SQL ID. Boom, there we go. Now, notice the top one's blank. All right, remember, I'm looking at the background sessions as well. I'm not filtering those out, and most ASH reports don't, or most ASH scripts actually do not look at the background processes. Okay, so you can actually do multiple columns here. I could say, you know, SQL ID, comma, session type to rather show me background or foreground. I could do this. A blank SQL ID, I could be committing, or it could be a background process that is you know, consuming CPU, but there is not an associated SQL ID. That's what that could be there. Okay, so that's my top SQL ID. So if I want to summarize that, so I say, what's this SQL statement about? Where the SQL ID is, boom, right there. Got it. Wow. Surprise, it's a 100% CPU. There are no weight samples, and so there's no detail right there. Okay. Got a question from Joseph. Is there more detail help for each command in the tool? Yes, there is. In fact, why don't I actually do that? If I go into the BloodHound directory, local, yeah, and there's all the scripts. Like if I go to BH top CPU weight, whoops, there we go. Make this bigger for you so you can see it. See all these? Look at all these examples right here. This will get you thinking. It's amazing the stuff you can do with a real simple script. Okay, the other script is like this. I mean, I can say, like, you know, show me the session ID and the serial number when the event is anything. Just give me the top weight. You know, top session, which is we're going to need to do that coming up as well here. Okay. Anyway, so yes, you can get that. You can get that. All right. So we got the top SQL ID. Okay. One thing we need to do now, we need to get the top session. Okay, so we're going to get the top, I'm going to get the top, the session, BloodHound top column. Let's do weight. And I want to get the session ID when the event is DB, I'm going to put DB file sequential read right there. Boom. There we go. Now remember, I could have a session ID that has multiple serial numbers, but I'm just showing just the session IDs right here. So that's our top session over this 4-hour period of time right here. Okay, so let's remember that's 1647. Now I can actually profile this session, right? BH sum, where the session ID is 1647. That's all you got to do. Boom. I don't need to trace the session. I can see it right here. That is so awesome, you guys. That is such a time saver right here. People say, what's up with this session? Well, it's all about weight. Okay, now, which is not a surprising. It's not surprised because that was our top weighting session when the weight event was DB file sequential read. So I'm not surprised to see this kind of profile right here. Okay, all right, let's remember that now. Okay, you guys, so far so good. We have 2 more scripts we need to take a look at. Everybody good? Got any questions? You guys all right? Yes, yes, yes. Usually, these are a lot more interactive, but I'm running out of time, so I'm monologuing a lot here. I don't like that, but that's what we got to do today, though. Okay, now I happen to know that on this system, they run Foglight. That is one of their modules. So I can actually profile FogLight. Get this. I'm going to get a summary of when the module is FogLight. Now, the only reason I'm doing this because this is real customer data, and if I show you the module, it will identify who the customer is. So let's check this out. See what happens. There we go. I got 281 samples where the module is FogLight, and that's the profile. So FogLight is doing some weights. It's waiting for some control file sequential reads for whatever reason. So you can profile anything. Remember, you can profile a module, a program, SQL, whatever you want to do. Okay, so I wanted to, and we can actually get the top. Okay, well, I am going to show you this. Let's get the top SQL ID that FogLight is actually running. You ever wonder what your application, like your monitoring tools, are actually doing to you? Well, you can do this. Let's get the top column. Let's get the top CPU SQL when the module is FogLight. There we go. There's the top SQL ID. And I just look at the text. There you go. Very cool. Okay. Now, so what we've done, we've done a couple things here, and we have a couple more things to do still. One, we did the install. Two, we looked at the profile, okay, which is the B8 sum script, okay. Then we did the top script, and we did that was BH top column. We looked at CPU, and if we want to get the top SQL or based on weights, then it's the BH top column weight SQL. Those are the scripts. Does this consume heavy resources? No, it is super light. Because especially if you go after $, if you go after DBA hist, you're accessing your AWR data. So depending upon how much data you're looking at, that's really the load that you might put on the system. Okay, so that's why you want to set your analysis scope. One reason why you want to set it pretty tight. Okay, I've never had anybody tell me that this is hammering their system or they even detected it. But just to be sure, this is why I like to load remote data onto my local database. Then I know there's no way I am impacting the system. Okay, we've got two more reports. What we want to do now is we want to look at the activity flow. Okay, and I call this a tick report. I don't know, I just had to come up with a name for this, tick report. Okay, and so let's take a look at how we run this one. BH menu. This is this BH tick right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to summarize all the ASH activity in one line, but I need to give it the summarization information. Like, do I want to summarize each line is based on 60 seconds worth of information, 1 hour worth of information, 1/2 hour, that kind of thing. And then I can also show some additional columns because there's a lot of ASH columns, right? And so I don't know what you're going to ask, so I allow you just to put these on here. So let's do this. Let's do like BH tick, and I want to get an hour. I think this is an hour, right? Yeah, 3,600 seconds, and I want to show the blocking session, which I very commonly want to look at. And there we go. Now this report can sometimes take a couple seconds to run. Let me make this a little smaller here so it doesn't wrap around, guys. There we go. Okay, so there we go. This first one might not be an hour, but because of where we're starting, right? We start at 5:30, but you can see this is an hour, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's it. And so this is the begin ASH sample ID, okay? Not this snap ID, this is the ASH sample ID. This is the total active sessions within the hour here, okay, which in this case is probably 1/2 hour. And then this is the average active session, right? That's the total session. That's like the pile of pictures of all the ASH samples. But average active sessions, there's only 4.8. Of all those average active sessions, 33% of those were on CPU. The rest were waiting. And those that were waiting, 58% were waiting on some IO-related wait event, and the other 42 were waiting on a non-IO wait event. And the top wait event, right, when we were waiting, was DB file sequential reads. And this is the most active SQL ID. That's not blank, okay? Otherwise, I'd probably be blank most of the time. Okay, and then if there is a top blocking session, it's going to show up here, which if you're looking at locking scenarios, this is really useful. Also, the blocking instance ID can also be nice when you're looking at internodal rack blocking. Okay, so when I use this for real, I'll start at a real high level like this. And I'm usually looking for something really interesting in the event name, the SQL, blocking, the timing, or the sample profile. And so if I don't see anything, I take it down another level. I say, okay, BH tick. I don't want to look at 1 hour. I want to look at 30 minutes. So I do something like this. And I say, I still want to see the blocking session. Okay. In fact, let's not do. Let's look at the program. I don't want to show you the module because that will expose data, customer data. So we're going to do this. Now notice I'm going to have more data. Crap. Because we're going at 30 minutes, right? We notice the jumps here are 30 minutes right here. And so I'm summarizing all these active sessions here, right? Like 828 of them in one line. And it's the same kind of thing. Well, there were 800, let's do the top one. There were 852 active sessions. The average active sessions was 4.8. That's the percentage CPU, percentage weight. And when we're waiting, 58% is IO wait event. The other 42 is DB file sequential reads. Okay, so you can see SQL Developer was active here. Okay, so what I'm usually doing, I'm trying to solve. There's an incident, so I'm looking for something that says, this is that kind of tips me off to say, hey, this is when the bad thing happens. And then maybe I'm looking for a locking situation. Well, I'm looking here and I say, you know what? I don't see anything about locking at all. So I'm going to drill down even deeper. I'm not going to be okay with a 30-minute snap. I'm going to go, maybe I'm going to go for like a 15-minute snap or a 5-minute snap or a 1-minute snap. So I'm going to keep drilling down this. And every time I drill down, I get more and more data. Right? And so what's going to happen if I'm looking for an incident, I know I'm looking for something unusual, I'll see a different wait event, or I'll see a different program, or I'll see something odd like, gosh, this is always the same SQL script right here. And that's when people are screaming or somebody is screaming. Or I'll see a big bump in the average active sessions. I'll say, well, what's going on with that big bump? Right? And so I'll use this and I'll drill down into more and more detail. So this is the tick report. Okay, and you can get down super detail with this. If we're looking at AWR data, I can get as low, right, as 10-second detail. If I'm looking at $V active session history, I can get down to 1 second granularity. Okay, all right. So a quick question somebody asked how to point BH to local table. Oh, it's in the BH set. When it asks for the table, I'm not going to run it again here. In fact, I'll do it in here because this is a different session. So how do I point to a different table? The BH set. I'll say how many slaves do I want. There we go. It's a local table. So I say, yeah, local, the default. And then it asks for the name here. It's not $, it's not DBA hist, it's the copy. So if I have a copy of one of these, I actually put the table name here is what I would do. And that table better exist. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen. All right, so that's how you do that. Pretty straightforward, right? It's really simple to do. Okay, so that's the tick report. The last report. Okay, so this is this activity kind of flow. I call this a tick report. The last one, which is really what people love, Ash, I think, is I can follow a session. Okay, I can kind of stalk a session. All right, so this is like session stalking. All right, and I'm going to call this what really a nicer way to call this is a timeline report. Okay, and so if we look at the menu, BH menu, you'll notice there is a BHTL for timeline. And this is session level timeline. So I need to give it the session ID low and the session ID high. And then there's some other, I can actually even get some more where clause. I can even get it more detailed here. Whether I just want CPU, I just want to line back when the session is on CPU or when they're waiting, or I don't care whether they're on CPU or waiting, just show me the information. And I can say, well, if they are waiting, what's the wait event? Or I really don't care, just show me regardless of the wait event. And then I can again say what columns do I actually want to display. Very similar with the tick report. I want to know the ASH column or columns of interest. Okay, and again, there's in the script itself, there's going to be a lot of information, examples. Okay, so this is really simple to use as well. So what was my most active session? If I go back here, we said here we go. What's the most active? What's the session ID? What's my top session ID when the event is DB file sequential read? That's it right there. Okay, and I think we looked at the top CPU one as well. That's the top CPU SQL ID. We didn't get the top CPU session. All right. So what we're going to do now, we're going to timeline this guy. Okay. Now remember, this is going to for my analysis scope. So usually you're not going to want to do this with a 4-hour analysis scope. Maybe you're looking at a half hour or something like that. Okay, because you're going to need a lot of data back if this is an active session. So our session is 1614. So this is the starting session ID, the ending session ID. Remember, I can look at all the sessions. You can do that, but you better be prepared to get a lot of rows back. But sometimes that's what you want to see when you're looking at a really tight, like maybe 15 minutes or 5 minutes. Okay, so we want to look at this guy, and I don't care whether the session is on CPU or waiting, and when they're waiting, I don't care what the wait event is, and show me the program. I think that's what we're looking for, and there we go. Timeline, boom, okay. This can get pretty wide. There we go. Okay, so let's look at this. This is a great report. This is where you really start to see the crazy stuff. 8 pages on this thing. Okay, now if we look at this session, the program is really wide here. So I'm going to change, I'm going to say column program for format A, I don't know, let's do like 30. Oops. And let's just, let's rerun this thing again. In fact, I think I can, oh yeah, this RR, which means rerun the command. If you look at the defines, I think there's an RR. That's what I typed in before. Is that cool? Come on. If you guys could clap, now's the time to clap. Because who wants to retype that? Let's just type RR. Got it. That's awesome. Very cool. Yes. I can hear the clapping from here. Oh, they didn't pick up the program. I must reset it. Anyways, so what we can do here, we are actually watching this session. Okay, now, by looking at the data here, I can tell, or say, let me ask you, how do I know whether this is AWR data or $V data? How can I tell? Okay, how do I know AWR versus $V? All right. It's the gap time. Yes, Tom. I go from 35 to 45 to 55. These are 10-second jumps. That is clearly AWR data right here. If this was ASH data, $V, you would see 35, 36, 37, 30. If the session is active. If they're active. So okay, let's do a few observations here. Okay, this session is very active. Notice there's no gaps. 15, 25, 35, 45, 50. What you're going to see, if the session is not active, there'll be a gap. Like, see right here, we go from 5 to 15. Where's the 10? Right? We didn't go 5, 10, 15. We went 5, 15, which means the session was not caught. It was not noticed. When we took the picture, right, at 6, 24, 10, this session was not active. And so there's no ASH row for that. Okay, that's what that means, all right? So anyway, so we can get this session ID, the user ID, the waiting, the SQL ID. This is the type of wait, and this is an IO wait event, and that's the wait event, and there's the parameters, the P1, P2, and P3, and then we ask also to show the program, and so there it is. And so what you're going to see when you're, at this point, you're usually looking for something very specific. Like if there's a lock, you're going to see like, okay, sequential reads, blah, 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 blah. And then you'll see like NQ, TX wait. You're like, there we go. That's when the lock started. And you'll see lock, 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 lock. And then you'll see it go back to sequential reads. And you'll say, okay, the lock started here and it ended here. There's the SQL ID and there will be a blocking session. So let's then timeline the blocking session. And you just follow the path. So this is a really great way to investigate what's going on. Okay. By the way, here is what we're actually looking at in terms of the scope. Okay. All right, so that is how you stock a session, guys. And I think, oh, by the way, you can do this for background process too, right? Because I don't filter out background processes. Okay. All right, that brings us to the end. That was a pretty quick end. If you have any questions, start typing those in, okay? And I'm going to go back to the presentation here and make sure I didn't forget something I want to show you guys, okay? This is being recorded, right? And it will be on my website for anybody to look at in a couple hours. It takes me a couple hours to get it online. Okay, download it. I will never charge for the BloodHound Toolkit, all right? Some toolkits I made, but I'm not going to charge for this one. It's actually too simple. Okay, so that's it. There is nothing else that I really have to say, okay? So I know that, wow, we got a full room here. So, hey, I know I went over. Thanks for your patience, you guys. I'm going to stay on here as long as you have questions, but I know some of you need to go back to work, right? You have jobs. So thank you for your time. I hope it was really informative and that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you, Hari, and appreciate that. And those of you that want to wait, stay online, ask some questions, and I will answer every single one of those. Okay? All right. So thank you all. Hope you have a fantastic day and all the best in your Oracle tuning work. All right. So, okay. Oh, hey, you guys, thank you. Well, some of you guys are asking questions, so I got to scroll back here. Let's see. In fact, let's see. Is there more? Yes, more details in the command. Ah, shoot. Shoot. I think I'm going to have to grab the scroll back bar. Here we go. Let's see here. Is there more details? Yes. Yeah, it works on 10G. Oh, I answered that. Okay, if I have a mixed situation, more than one database, remote and local one, I need $V active for a specific check. I need DBA his for another one. XQB. Yes, you need to reconfigure it every time. Okay, Renato, there is a tricky way to do that. If you do a define, it lists all your defines here. You can actually copy these and actually paste these right into your session. Don't get the system stuff here. You know, start it like maybe you know, like something like this, and you can copy these, right? You can get in another session and paste them right back in. It's kind of a cheater's way to do this. It usually works, but you know, the BH set may seem like this is a hassle. It actually gets really, really quick, especially if you have what you're going to type in a text file and you just copy and paste it. Okay, but it does seem like it's a hassle, but it's really not that bad. Let's see, are there more details? Yeah, we did that. Repeat the BHTL syntax, the timeline. Do your menu. Boom, right here. Okay, you give it the SID low, SID high, and then let me explain this. If I just want to show these sessions when they're just burning CPU, and I may want to do this because there may be so many active sessions, this is how I can kind of like reduce it. So I'd say only show me the sessions that are burning CPU. But it's more common, I might say something like, I just want to see like all the sessions. In fact, here we go. Here's an example. BH time. Show me all the sessions, okay, when we're waiting, okay, on an in queue. And the in queue is like TX, like that. And I want to show the blocking session ID, or the blocking session. In fact, let's do something like this. See if we can see anything like this. Oh, wait. I'm going to have to put blocking session. See if we get anything back. There, we got some. There we go. See, so I looked at all this data over this 4 hours right here. I'm looking at, and there were only 3 sessions that were blocked when they were waiting on a row level lock right here. That's how you could do that. And is there a blocking SID? Yes, there is. Okay, and then I could do a timeline on this session. I could figure, well, what's this session all about, right? Who knows? It could be the log writer for all, you know. So that's how you could actually do that. Let's see, related. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome. Welcome to everybody. I'd love it when people say thank you. I appreciate it. Let's see. Vikram, unrelated question is unrelated. Is SQL that is run with some bind variables and run the same different bind variables? How do the bind variables substitute execute? Oh, okay. That's a completely different question. Slack me. or just chat with me afterwards. Okay, use the OraPub chat feature on the website to do that. Talk about that. Okay, how do you go about getting the SQL text once you have identified it? Oh, excellent question. Notice I conveniently did not look at that. Well, if this is in my shared pool right now, I can use one of my scripts that I have in my OSM toolkit, which you can download for free. There's a bunch of scripts in my OSM toolkit, and I have a script to pull the SQL out of $SQL. Okay, it's here somewhere. I just happen to know what it is. SQL get text. Right there. Okay, so I would actually say, you know, SQL get text, and the key is SQL ID, and then I give it, you know, whatever the SQL ID is, like that. But you're going to have to get that yourself. I don't have the AWR tool to do that, but that will be in. It should be in, right? DBA hist. What's it? SQL stats, or is it SQL summary? Anyway, it's in one of those. It's in one of those. I think it's SQL. Is it SQL stats? I forget. Nah, I don't know what. Anyways, that's where you're going to have to go get that. I don't have a script for that for you. Thanks to repeat. Thanks, Craig. Mario, you're welcome. Nancy, oh, thank you. It's nice to have another tool set available. Yes, I love this toolkit. Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you. DBA hist, DBA hist SQL text. There's two places to get this too, though. There's another place, but this gives you all of it. And you see it's a clob right there. So you're actually going to want to use some tricky, you know, clob appropriate substring methods to get that. Okay, but there's another one that gives you like the first, you know, 1,000 characters or something like that as well. Joseph, you're welcome. Okay, any more questions? Still got a bunch of you guys are on there. I'm really surprised. Glad it sounds like you're really enjoying it and this was useful to you. Okay, any other questions? I won't just shut it off. I'll wait like another 30 seconds to make sure there's silence before I actually, you know, stop everything. Oh, you're welcome, David. Vikram, my pleasure. Vinay, awesome. To see you guys on other webinars. Joseph, you're welcome. Ray's got to go walk the dog. Does that mean you're going to walk the dog, or you're walking, or are you going to walk the dog? All right. Any BloodHound? Oh, I get it, BloodHound. So we got to have a script called like walk the dog. That would be like the timeline instead of a stalking script. Instead of BH stalk, instead of like BH stalk, which I thought about calling it, we could do BH walk the dog. Bill, hey, Bill, thanks for joining us, man. It's a pleasure to have you here. I wasn't expecting you to be on here. All right, okay, guys. I think that's about it. I think you guys are worn out from this. I am. So we're going to come to a close. Again, thank you all for listening and joining me, and I hope you get a chance to join on another webinar. And if you remember, I have a couple webinars every month. So thank you all. Have a fantastic day. And I wish you all the best in your Oracle tuning endeavors and your careers. All right. Have a great day, guys. Bye-bye.